you very much for taking the time, preparing this little report for our benefit. So,
This is my pleasure.
okay.
And basically, I'm here to let you know a little bit about how the CJE brings education to our special needs children in the community. So therefore, the name. And we have a Hebrew school, a Sunday school, that is in operation every Sunday morning, most Sunday mornings. We have a terrific staff of 3 teachers. One is Sandy Gladding, then there's Stephanie Pinto, Adrian Turk, who happens to be my daughter, and she's also the art teacher at Meyer Academy, so that we are really lucky to have her. Sandy was here before I came on board, which is already 11 years, and Stephanie was a volunteer with us for her three of her years of high school. She went away, did 4 years of college and a year for her master's in special education, and now she's taught special ed in Palm Beach County for 3 years. Are we lucky to have her or not?
Oh,
so
boy.
we have a tremendous teacher staff, and this year more than any other year we have a staff of volunteers who we call, well, teachers in training, we call some of them we call teacher assistants, and teacher assistants in training. We start at the 6th grade level. That seems to be a good time for children to start to help, and Meyer Academy is a major feeder for us. So we've got 6th, 7th, 8th graders here. We've also got adults among these. We have people from Temple Beth Tikva and from also Temple Torah, now Torah Emet, who are personal friends of mine. We could not do this program without our cadre of wonderful volunteers, and so this gives us a ratio basically of 1 to 1. So today we're going to look at what our community looks like in terms of special needs. Where are we today? What should our future look like? And questions and answers, if we have the answers. If you have questions as we go along, we're informal, please ask. What does our community look like? Our Yaad family are scattered from Jupiter in the north all the way down to Delray Beach. And we have who is located where, so 1 in Jupiter, 1 in Palm Beach Gardens, 1 Riviera Beach, 3 in West Palm, 3 in Royal Palm Beach, 1 in Lake Worth, 5 in Boynton, and 1 in Delray. And here I set them on a grid so that you can see the ages of the students. These students here, at least the one who's 20 and the one who is 17 and a half, have been with us for years, since they were 7 years old. And while the 20-year-old may be aging out, we have to think about what we can offer, because I can envision him wanting to come back every Sunday morning. He has a great time. We have the structure. He's a young man on the autism spectrum, and we offer him what he needs, and he continues to learn. We have special needs in different areas too. The synagogue schools provide some children with special needs with their education. As a matter of fact, I had a visit yesterday. I went over to Temple Beth Torah in Wellington and met with the education director there. She called me on the phone. She really wanted to confer with me about how she was handling her several special needs children. I complimented her on how great it is that she could keep them within the community, because if you can hold special needs children within their community, there's no reason to pull them out and put them in a special school. So this is the synagogue that provides shadows for some of their children and provides special materials as well. As a matter of fact, I talked to her about the iPads that we're using, and I'm going to send her some of the apps that we found, so that when 1 or 2 of her children, who she described to me, are using their computers, their iPads, and probably using them and the other kids are not, they can be doing things to continue learning Hebrew. Of course, the Meyer Academy, as our Jewish community day school, has some children who are special needs children, and they do take care of them. And we have some of their siblings in our program. There's another program, Project Connect, and that's a program out of Palm Beach Synagogue. That's mainly for the teens to be able to learn what it is to work with special needs children, and it's a social program. So it doesn't provide the education that we do. The JCCs provide social programming for special needs children as well, and at times we collaborate and look forward to collaborating more with them to see if they are servicing children who we could possibly serve as well. So where are we today? With our wonderful Hebrew school, Yaad is one terrific Hebrew school for 16 children with special needs. Opened its doors in September 2001. This year, we were fortunate to be able to be at Temple Beth Tikva in Green Acres. We were offered their facility to use, so their Hebrew school uses half of their rooms, and we use the other half. It's wonderful. The rabbi and the cantor have been gracious and wonderful, and the Hebrew school, the education director has been terrific. So it's a wonderful relationship that we started working, and we hope to remain there. We have our 3 special education teachers who work in different areas, and they do multiple things as well. One teaching Hebrew language, one doing Jewish studies, and one in different modalities, and one doing art. They're all on the same page because we meet extensively before we even start to talk about specific lessons that we're going to teach and how each teacher is going to do it and be on the same page for that lesson. We learn Hebrew in many ways. So you can see the puzzles, you can see the board work, you can see the finger painting up there in the middle, the alphabet. We learn to visit the elderly and sick by going to Morse Life for our annual intergeneration Hanukkah program. We've done that every year, I think since it started, certainly since I've been here. The residents love it. Our kids, who might not interact as much, really do interact the way you see them over here. So this is a terrific experience, and we put that on our calendar every single year. We learn by using our iPads. So here we have Daniel, here we have Aiden, and the kids love it. So a reason that we're able to show you our iPads in use is that we received $2,500 from Extraordinary Charities. So those 4 iPads are in use now. We had a session for training teachers and a couple of the volunteers as well. We needed to buy cases for them. And now we've received $11,316 for 12 more. Those 12 iPads have been purchased already. The cases were ordered. We need to buy the earphones. We need to do some more professional development. That's going to be up and running, if not for the last couple of sessions of this year, certainly for the fall. We learned by looking inside the Torah. Oh, by the way, that's Stephanie. She's our jewel of a teacher, as the other 2 are, but she's the young woman who came up through us as a volunteer and then now is a teacher in the community. It's great. Tuition and tuition assistance. We've kept the price the same all the years I've been here. The cost of to the parent is $450 if they pay before September 1st, or $550 if afterwards. We have a brief tuition assistance application form if parents request, or if I feel when I'm talking to them that they think they might not be able to afford to send their child. So they fill out this little form, which doesn't ask all that much. We don't ask for any anything that might be interpreted as prying. We've not turned anyone away. We want to be able to include whoever needs to be with us. Of the 12 Yaad families who send us their children, and that's 12 children, 12 families sending us 16 children. So we have families that have multiple children with us. 5 paid in full, 3 paid partially, 4 received full tuition assistance. We've collected $3,250 in tuition fees this year. It costs us approximately $3,600 per student to run our school. With families who pay partial, every once in a while, one of them will hand me a check, $50 or $100, just like that. So they know that they're going to be with us, and if they can afford it, they cough up something. I know one of the men was out of work a lot. That wasn't a time where they could afford to write a check. What should our future look like? Well, we're assessing our needs in several ways, all these ways. A survey is going to go out, the PJ library information goes out. We've set up information to go out to Meyer Academy. There's a website called Macaroni Kid, which reaches the wider community. The education directors, I attend the education meetings, the council meetings that are held monthly, so they know who I am and they know that they can utilize my services as a consultant. Preschool directors, so maybe there's a child who's getting to leave ready to leave preschool and might benefit by coming up to us as a 5-year-old. The JCC in the north, Mosaic, marketing, we've got to do a much better job in marketing anyway, and with social media. So we're going to see, hopefully get some information back from doing that. A second location to serve North County. We do have the potential to be a regional school. And what would we need to consider? Definitely the location. So we've got one location in Lake Worth. Now the other location would need to be an appreciable difference, the distance north, so that families in the north would feel they don't have to go a large distance. We'd need formal classrooms, some informal space. What do we need informal space for? I teach Israeli dance to the kids. So they love the movement, and we just need to have a little bit more space without desks to be able to spread out in a circle or a line. So that's something we do have to consider. It should be not cluttered. And this is something I mentioned to Meredith yesterday over at Temple Beth Torah. She uses the preschool classes that have lots of preschool things all over. So I mentioned that that might be a distractor for a child who's an ADHD kid. So she listened up, but this is her facility and she shares, and this is what you have to do. So this is an optimum thing, something that's not cluttered. If it wound up being cluttered, so we tried to declutter a little bit and move on from there. That it should be barrier-free so that if we have a child in a wheelchair, or we would be able to accept that child. Handicapped accessible and meets ADA standards. Staff is a big thing. Extraordinarily talented teachers. We have that in one location now, and we are very lucky to have that. I don't know, frankly, if we could find 3 other people who could be cloned like our 3 teachers. And the marketing and the recruitment, we don't know who would come forward to show that they'd like a facility in the north. But once we put it out there, maybe we would find out that there are people. So, if you would like to ask me questions, I am very happy to be able to try to answer them.
It meets once a month, right?
Once a week.
Once a
Sunday.
week? Oh, every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
Actually, we have money in our budget for 24 sessions. The afternoon Hebrew schools meet on the average of 31 to 32 sessions, because that's the number of Sundays. So because I know our budget is limited, so I make sure to put them on the calendar where it most benefits us, like not before Rosh Hashanah, not before or after Pesach. So I spread it out to try to, and definitely not before and after spring break, but we get in 4 sessions and we place them on the calendar that we publish for the parents.
And can you
detail the range of disabilities that you, I mean, we've got 16 students,
Yes.
so are they all autistic or? do
No.
they- Okay, so,
On the autism spectrum, we have, and some of those are Asperger's. We have children who are Down syndrome. We've got ADHD children. We've got a child who's speech impaired. So basically, it's children who it's perceived will not be able to function in a regular afternoon Hebrew school optimally. And some people say to us, gee, and I don't know, you come and you look and you see, but you're not having any difficulty with these children. Well, why aren't we? It's
You're
because it's set up to serve them to the max. There's no child who sits there frustrated. If they don't know where they are, there's a person to point to where they are. If they've got to go to the bathroom, there's somebody there to walk them. So all their needs are met during that time. So they don't appear to be having any problems. So
It's also how you direct them, how you speak to them. I mean, you're all trained, and the way you would address a kid with special needs, I mean, they'd be lost, with complex commands, et cetera, 3-stage, whatever, that you guys know not to do. So it's just but you may not realize it as you're observing. But it's the training.
Okay. Well, you said you meet with the educational directors. Are you talking about the educational directors of the synagogues?
yeah.
Okay, because is there any reason why you're not meeting with the exceptional, the directors of the exceptional programs of the public schools?
Good question.
Yeah.
They have the bulk of the students.
Yeah, but I have been hesitant to do that because I come from New York and you couldn't mix religious with secular like that. I couldn't go in and say, can you tell me the Jewish children who you have? So maybe I'm wrong about Florida.
I don't think you can.
No, it's a question, I think, again, of marketing, and if we had materials, that would be a service rather than
Right.
that they could hand
Well,
out in
and-
general.
and from-
That's the
right.
difference.
And from that perspective, I have delivered packets of materials. As a matter of fact, I can let you look at some of the things that, but I've delivered packets of materials to the guidance counselors in many of the schools.
Oh.
It resulted in one phone call, and that was for a parent who wanted a full day Jewish day school
For special needs kids?
for a special needs child. So I told her what was available.
Mhm.
She thought this was a full program, and it's not. It's,
Right.
So we can do more. There may be children out there who are not being served. In my experiences, if we hear of somebody, we try to go after that person. Sometimes it takes many different contacts. There's one family, we have 2 children now, but it took many contacts in order for that parent to come and to sit down with us even. They've got physical therapy or speech therapy or other things going on. So when the child is 5, 6, 7, that's not even a priority. When it gets a little closer towards bar mitzvah, then they start to think more seriously about maybe putting their child in a Hebrew school program. And we start them off learning some of the blessings that they're going to need, but we don't tailor what they're going to do at a bar mitzvah ceremony for that, for a particular child that they have to
No,
get
makes
extra
sense to
help
me.
for.
Thank you, Wilma. I just want to mention, I hadn't visited last year, but I did another visit to Yaad a few Sundays ago. I actually brought a non-board member. And I would just really encourage every board member. I know Paul has set us, along with me, certain challenges, but another challenge for us is really to visit exactly where CJE is making an impact. And this is an incredibly heartwarming place to start.
Yes.
Is now in the conference.
Erwin Ship. Welcome, Erwin.
Hi, Erin. I
I
have
think we
two
should
questions.
start over.
I have 2 questions, though. Erwin, Wilma just presented, it's Elizabeth, so I'm asking a couple of questions. Wilma, consultation hours, you're so gracious and you're so smooth, it just sort of got tucked in there. It's hard to be someone in a community where there's a lot of competition and demands on people's time and energy, and be a consultant whom people really reach out to in a trusting and respectful way. About how many consultation, and I know that you do that well, About how many consultation hours would you say you do? Do you track that, or do you have a sense of that?
I don't do as many as you might think. The education directors don't reach out to me all that much. This year so far, this one, and in other years, maybe one or two during the course of the year. Sometimes it could result in only a phone conversation and a follow-up phone conversation. It depends upon what their need is. If they can handle what they need to handle on their own, then they don't need me to come up. And sometimes if they think they want to call somebody in, it makes them look as though they're not being effective. So whatever they need, you know, I'm willing to speak with them about it, but they know me from being part of their meetings and conferences that I am willing to speak with them and meet with them like I did with Meredith yesterday. So
So when you say part of their conferences, you're talking about our professional development and school services
Yeah,
conferences.
absolutely.
So you're there, and sometimes there's a
Absolutely.
special needs component to the
Yeah.
conference, and,
Right.
okay, that's interesting. And how about non-professional consultations? Do you get calls from other people in the community who are not educators for advice or guidance or concierge kinds of things like Amy does for
No.
families in general? Okay, so that's
I don't at all.
another thing to consider, particularly in the Jewish world. Rabbis, maybe if they have a family, they,
well, my own rabbi, Rabbi Bernstein at Temple Torah, I met for sure, and now Rabbi Shub at Temple Beth Tikva for sure. But in addition to those, at this point, I have not had the pleasure of interacting with other rabbis in terms of meeting with them and their families.
yeah, well, it's also rabbis sometimes that parents confide, and I know from my practice, very often, the educators in a synagogue wouldn't know what was going on with a particular child who had emotional issues, which maybe they weren't exactly ADHD, but they couldn't be part of a Hebrew school. So, okay, second question, in your survey, you mentioned the JCC North, not the JCC South. I was
It
just-
should have been in there too.
Oh, okay.
When I read it, I said to myself,
Okay, so it's
you
both.
caught it, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Paul?
I just wanted to commend you because I think your work is outstanding
Thank you.
and very touching and moving. We had the pleasure of meeting Josh and, help me.
Grace.
Gracie.
Gracie at a parlor meeting, and
Those are two children from Yaad, one's a graduate.
whose lives have been just changed dramatically. You could just see it. So it gets you all excited about it.
Yeah, you've got Yiddish and Neshamas there.
Yeah, just.
You're right,
uh,
you're right,
Yeah.
you're right.
But along those lines, I was reading yesterday, a couple who, you'll jump in and help me, just made a $250,000 note. Who is that? Tell me the name.
Someone, well, you,
Yes.
JCC.
But, yeah, but for special. Now,
Ruth
so my
Federation
question,
Endowment Department.
who are the people?
It's
What-
a
I
Blecker
know
or
them.
something.
No, I know the name.
Blecker. It's through, but it was, what is it?
Was it Blacker or
Blecker,
Baker?
Blecker, or something like that. But I believe that it was through the Federation, the efforts of the Federation Endowment Department,
Right.
So I guess my question is,
I think.
would it be appropriate for us to reach out to people like that and explain what it is we do and or offer our services in conjunction with? You may say, no, we're separate, but.
No,
No, no, no, wait,
no, we're collaborative.
They, I think anyone with any heart and has any belief in what we're doing here would be anxious to speak with you. And the fact that people don't know about it is something I think we could fix, but maybe that's a good place to start. I just read about that yesterday.
Well, I can tell you, Paul, that just the other day, Charles and I had a conversation when I learned about this endowment for the benefit of the special needs children by the JCC North. And Charles' response to me was that he's going to be meeting with Mindy. We'd like to find out how many children are in the program, how many of those children are Jewish,
Yes,
Sure.
We've
correct.
gone through this.
okay? How many
Really?
children are
Absolutely.
Jewish
2 decades.
who are potentially from families that could benefit from this
Yes.
program, all right?
Yes.
Because we know that many of the children that are serviced under that program at the JCC are not Jewish.
They didn't used to be unless,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right,
And
it's,
before
it's
they
time
moved
to
it.
revisit, I think, it's
That's
right,
what
it's time
we're
to
doing.
revisit that again.
I also want to add, and I don't mean to be, it's not going to come out right, but, and maybe they don't do it anymore, but we have heard reports in the past that the JCC advertises or professes that they are the only special needs programming in the community. And we've had board members approached from JCC members, you know, asking them for money, and they'll say, and we have the only special needs programming in the community. And so luckily, our board member was able to, you know, educate that JCC person, but that is definitely the word on the street if you're into special needs at all. So,
agree.
you know,
If the
had
reading-
if the family was educated, and here is where down the line, I think the importance is for the new director, because a really savvy and community-minded educator could have directed part of that money to us, so that if they wanted to give $250,000 to special needs, some of it could have gone to us and the rest to the JCC, and that is what hopefully in the future our community will look like.
Very good point. I'm going to have to cut this off. Thank you very, very
You're
much.
very
It's
welcome.
been very
Okay, Elizabeth, would you give us a community engagement report, please?
Sure.
As briefly as possible. I'm sorry.